Good evening and welcome to the live question and answer session of the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. This year, our faculty is celebrating the centenary of the faculty. Yes, a full 100 years of transforming the economy and society. My name is Professor Pieter von Willig and I'm the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences, or as we'll refer to it throughout the session, the EMS faculty. Joining me this evening in our studio is the faculty's student academic advisor, Ms. Ilse Frans.
Good evening to all our viewers, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you also to everyone that have submitted some quite interesting questions for us this evening.
Yes, Ilse, very interesting questions indeed. And we will be answering some of those questions during the course of the session. But before we do that, let me remind you of a couple of important dates. Firstly, applications for our undergraduate programs and residence accommodation has already opened on the 1st of April. These close on the 31st of July, so make sure that you get your applications in on time. Furthermore, applications for financial assistance at Stellenbosch University open on the 1st of July and they close on the 30th of September. So once again, make sure that you get your applications in on time. Without further ado then, let's move on to some of the questions that you have posed to us. The first one is, if I get a final offer for a program and have not applied for accommodation, will I still be able to get a place in a residence? Ilse, I'm going to hand that one to you.
Okay, so if you are selected and receive an offer for a program, that does not mean that your residence placement is secured if you did not apply for accommodation. So it is very important that you do apply for accommodation. You can also apply for private accommodation. The university has a list of accredited accommodation on the university's website.
Thank you so much, Ilse. Next question is, what are the selection criteria for the B Accounting program? Now, this question requires a bit of explanation, and Ilse, I think I will field this one. So, the different programs in the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences have different so-called minimum admission requirements and also different so-called selection criteria. These are conveniently available and carefully explained on our faculty's website. Let me start by explaining the difference between minimum admission requirements and selection criteria. So the minimum admission requirements are actually exactly what the name says. If you do not meet these absolute minimum requirements, there's unfortunately no way that you will be allowed to, that you will receive an offer for a program or that you will be allowed to register for one of our programs in EMS. The selection criteria are slightly higher than the minimum admission requirements, and those are extremely important for you. So that is the first thing that I would look at, this so-called selection criteria. So the selection criteria for the B Accounting program, so this is the minimum that you will have to meet in order to receive an offer for a place in the program. And they are as follows: a national senior certificate average of 75%, excluding life orientation, and also a mark of at least 75% for pure maths, for mathematics, or if your mathematics marks is a little bit lower, so between 70 and 74%, then you need an accounting mark of at least 75%. So those are the selection criteria, the minimum that you will have to meet to receive an offer from, or to be guaranteed to receive an offer from the faculty. I'm going to move on to the next question. If I don't meet the admission mathematics requirement with my grade 12 marks, is there some kind of mathematics bridging course that I can do in order to gain admission? Ilse, I'm going to pass that one to you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. van Willig. So the faculty does not have a bridging course for admission to our programs. So in terms of mathematics, you can either decide to have your mathematics papers remarked, or you can redo the mathematics subject for the year and then apply for admission for the following academic year. So if you are currently in grade 12 this year, you can then apply for the 2027 academic year.
Thank you so much, Ilse. The next question is, if I have mathematics literacy at school, can I still apply for a program in the EMS faculty? Now, In the case of mathematics, a proper grounding in grade 12 mathematics, so pure maths, is incredibly important for success of EMS students in the faculty, given that the curriculum is rather maths intensive in many of our programs. And this has been proven over and over again with many data points over many years. So, unfortunately, if you had mathematics literacy at school, you will not be considered for any of the mainstream programs in our faculty. Ilse, is there perhaps something that you will want to add to that?
Yes, I can add, Prof. van Willich. So we do not consider mathematics for our mainstream programs, but we do only consider mathematics literacy for our diploma in sustainable development. So the only program that you might qualify for if you have mathematics literacy at school would be the diploma in sustainable development.
Thank you so much, Ilse, and that's an undergraduate diploma in sustainable development. The next question that, Ilse, I'm also going to pass to you is, are the national benchmark tests, or NBTs, a requirement to study in the EMS faculty?
Okay, so the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences do not make use of NBTs. Only School of Tomorrow applicants and applicants that apply within the Faculty of Law need to write the NBTs as part of their application. So if you are applying for the BAC LLB or the BCom Law program, you are required to write the academic quantitative literacy and the mathematics NBTs for your application.
Thank you so much, Ilse, for a very clear explanation. The next question we received is, I am currently completing the international curriculum. Do the minimum admission requirements differ from the national senior certificate requirements? Ilse, you're working hard tonight. I'm going to pass this one to you as well.
Not a problem, Prof. I'm so used to answering all these questions on a daily basis. So our international office converts the international and other curricular marks to the South African National Senior Certificate equivalent, and then the faculty uses those marks for our admission and selection processes. And for students who don't know where to find this international curricular admission requirements, if you go onto the marties.com or the SU International Office webpage, you will be able to find this document.
Thank you so much again, Ilse. So the next question is, my son's first choice is BCom Management Sciences and his second choice is BCom Financial Accounting. Both of these programs have the same minimum admission requirements and selection criteria. Is it worth listing financial accounting as a second choice? Could he be rejected from management sciences but still get an offer for financial accounting, or would rejection from one mean rejection from both? If the latter, we consider using the second choice for a different faculty. So you will only receive a final offer for a program for which you have firstly received and accepted a conditional offer, which would have been issued to you based on your grade 11 results, if you have met the selection criteria based on those grade 11 results. What will then happen after that is you will only be offered a final offer if you meet the selection criteria again based on your final grade 12 results. So what does that mean in the context of this question? If the two programs, so the BCom Management Sciences program in this question and the BCom Financial Accounting program, if those two programs have the same selection criteria and you do not meet these selection criteria, you will unfortunately not receive a final offer for either of these programs. So my advice to you in this regard would be that you, if it's possible, you choose a second choice of a program with lower admission requirements and selection criteria than your first choice. And then, as you refer to in your question, it is certainly also a possibility to select the program from a different faculty that might have lower admission and selection criteria than the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences, which might then at least guarantee you a place in the university, even if not in the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. The next question is perhaps a bit more general. I'm interested in doing business. what course would be the best to enroll for? So, Ilse, I'll field this one. Our broad degree programs give you a thorough grounding in economic, management, and in some cases also mathematical sciences, and a very wide selection of career choices. If you are uncertain, my suggestion would be that you choose the BCom Management Sciences degree option. This is the program for students who want to pursue a career in management. In addition to the more general BCom Management Sciences program, which offers the broadest module or subject combination in the faculty, there's a variety of focal areas that will largely eventually determine your choice of career. The next question is, can I start with a program in another faculty and change over at a later stage to a program in the EMS faculty, for example, at the beginning of my second year? And the answer to this question, I think, will also link to what I said earlier in terms of sometimes choosing a second or third option of a program in a different faculty to that of EMS. So Ilse, your turn again.
Okay, so what students should take note of, which is quite important, is that admission to any of our programs is subject to meeting the minimum requirements based on your grade 12 results. In addition to this, if you are a transferring student, you also need to meet the selection criteria of the program that you wish to transfer to. So, as Prof. van Willig explained earlier, our selection document does outline this. So, if you are not sure what the selection criteria is for the program, you can have a look at the selection document. And then, just to add to this, even if you do a year or more in another program within the university or even at another institution, and you have distinctions in all of your subjects, it is still your grade 12 results that will allow admission into our programs. I think I have covered that. Is there anything that you would like to add, Prof. van Willig?
No, Ilse, I think that is that covers it fairly well. The next question is, if I enroll for BCom in my first year and actually want to do BCom Agricultural Economics, which subjects will I take in the Department of Agriculture? Now, Ilse, I fielded the last two questions, so you're also going to get a second one on this one.
Okay, not a problem, Prof. So, within our BCom Management Sciences, we've got a focal area called Agricultural Economics. So, our BCom Management Sciences program has a generic first year where you will do mainly commerce modules. Then from the second year, you will have the Agricultural Economics module as your major. So, because this is a BCom Management Sciences degree, your modules will mainly form part of the commerce faculty, and the only module that you will have that falls within the faculty of Agri-Science will then be the Agricultural Economics module.
Thank you so much, Ilse. So the next question is an interesting one. Someone who wants to take on a bit more than is already in our rather challenging courses. The question is, can I add physics somewhere in my BCom Management Science degree? Ilse, will you start us off on that one?
Okay. So it is indeed possible to add an additional module, but students should note that they are required to, at registration, check to see if there are any clashes, whether it is in the class timetable or the assessment timetable, between the normal course modules and the additional module that the student would like to add. I think Prof. van Willig can expand a bit more on why we would not generally recommend students to take on additional modules.
Sure, thank you, Ilse. Yes, that is absolutely correct. So this is about, I'm going to call it academic risk management for you as a prospective student. So as Ilse indicated, the faculty normally does not recommend the addition of modules to what is already in your curriculum, as this may impact, and clearly will impact, on your academic workload for the year, which could potentially negatively impact on your academic success. I think it is also important to note that the university actually institutionally restricts the extent of additional modules that students are allowed to register for. The next question is a slightly broader question. I'm confused about how the various options for the BCom Management Sciences, for the BCom Economic Sciences program differ. So I'm confused about how the various options for the economic sciences differ. Ilse?
Okay, so the same with our management sciences. The economic sciences has various focal areas. So the field that you ultimately specialize in, that is the focal area that you will choose. I don't think we have enough time this evening for me to explain all the focal areas and the fields of expertise, but what I would advise the student that sent in this question to do is to have a look at the online open day platform, where the economics department has a brochure that lists all the focal areas, and they have a nice summary of what each focal area within the economics program entails.
Thank you so much, Ilse. The next question is, if you were to pursue a degree in actuarial science, what are the requirements to progress to subsequent years in the program, so subsequent to the first year? Ilse, you can start us off again, and then I might add one or two things.
Okay, not a problem. So as an undergraduate student, you have to pass at least 50% of the credits that you are registered for the academic year. So even if you do fail some modules in, say if you're in your first year, it is important for you to pass the 50% of the credits in order to continue your studies. So if you have met this requirement and have passed enough credits, you can then register for the following academic year, and then also re-register for the modules that you have failed, and then you can repeat them in the following academic year.
Thank you, Ilse. I would perhaps like to add to that particularly in the BCom Actuarial Science program, for very good historical reasons, there are certain modules that you actually have to pass before you can move on to the second year or the third year of that particular module or subject. We call those prerequisite modules. There are also certain modules within these prerequisite modules where it's not enough to simply pass the module with a final mark of 50% in order to move on to the second or the third year respectively. In those cases, you need to actually achieve a certain minimum final mark of, say, 65% in that particular module in order to continue with the second or the third year of that particular module. So not only having to pass at a minimum of 50%, but also a bit of an additional, let's say, hurdle to climb over in terms of a certain minimum final mark for the module. For the moment, perhaps moving away a little bit from the details of our programs to some more general aspects of student life at Stellenbosch University and student experience. First question here is, do I need to buy textbooks before I come to campus? Ilse, I'm sure you've had this question so many times before.
I have received this quite a lot. So the short answer is no. So at the beginning of the academic year, students receive information on the textbooks that they need to buy. So this information is contained in an important document that we call the module framework. And students will have to consult each individual module framework for the textbooks that they require. Do note that some of the modules would require you to have a hard copy of the textbooks, and others will provide you with an electronic copy. But you do not have to worry about getting your textbooks. There will be enough time during the beginning of the academic year to obtain all the required textbooks.
Thank you so much, Ilse, for a very clear and comprehensive answer. The next question is, can you register as a part-time student, or can you study online or remotely? Ilse, we've got a couple of more questions. I promise this is the last one where I'm going to make you work so hard. Thank you.
So I hope this is my last one, so I'm going to answer this. So Stellenbosch University is a residential university, which means that our classes are offered on campus and you have to attend in person. We do not offer any distance learning for our undergraduate programs, and you need to attend all lectures, tutorials, and all other learning opportunities on campus. In the vast majority of our programs, we also do not offer a live streaming option because we had, in previous cases, received an inquiry from students to say, okay, I will be missing class for the one day, can you stream the class? So please note that we also do not offer a live streaming option, so you will have to attend your classes every single day.
And that is indeed because Stellenbosch University is a residential university for the most part. The next question is about language, and I think this is a question that we at Stellenbosch University often receive. The question is simply, will my classes be offered in Afrikaans? Die een ding waaroor jy nie hoef bekommerd te wees by die fakulteit Ekonomiese en Bestuurswetenskappe op Stellenbosch Universiteit nie, is taal. The one thing you do not have to worry about if you study at EMS at Stellenbosch is language. I can assure you that all your first year modules are offered in what we call parallel medium. So that means that they are separate English and Afrikaans class groups. You choose which one of the language groups you want to attend, and you make that selection when you register. That is the first year. So from the second year onwards, things are a little bit different. You may have certain classes that are presented with both English and Afrikaans in the same lecture, so the use of both languages interchangeably. Or you might have some classes where the lecturer speaks only in English, but we then offer what we call simultaneous interpreting of what the lecturer is saying, to which you will listen while you are sitting in class. And you do so by listening by means of headphones or earphones. So the lecturer at the front of the class is speaking in English, but let's call it a soundtrack that you hear is actually in Afrikaans. I can also assure you that throughout your undergraduate studies, all your Stellenbosch University prepared study materials are available in both English and Afrikaans. You can complete your assessments in either of those two languages, and also academic support is offered in both languages. This is not necessarily the case for our postgraduate offerings, where we tend to play more in the English space, but certainly in terms of your undergraduate experience, I can again assure you that one of the things that you don't have to worry about is your language experience. The next question is perhaps a little bit more specific and requires a bit more explanation. The question is the B accounting degree internationally recognized? If not, does that mean that I cannot continue studying abroad after obtaining the 3-year B Accounting, Bachelor of Accounting degree in South Africa? So I thought I'd start by answering this question by indicating that there is a difference between recognition of a qualification or a degree and the recognition of a professional designation. And I'll explain what that is in a couple of minutes. But let's start with the potential for recognizing a qualification or a degree. So whether an international university, a university abroad, recognizes the South African B Accounting degree is entirely dependent on the international institution's academic recognition policies and procedures. These will vary widely between the international academic institutions, and you are well advised to check with the particular universities abroad about this before deciding to enroll at Stellenbosch University for the B Accounting degree. My personal view on it is that my expectation of it is that few international institutions will directly recognize the B Accounting degree for further postgraduate studies. The reason for that is that the B Accounting degree is based on South African legislation and regulations, and not that of the foreign country in which the international institution is located. So what that means is, for example, in the B Accounting degree, we focus on South African taxation legislation, the South African Companies Act. the South African King 4, soon to be King 5, Code of Corporate Governance. So if you are admitted to an international university, my expectation is that there might be some additional bridging study required to be able to ultimately continue your postgraduate studies on the basis of your South African B accounting degree. Now, once you have qualified as a Chartered Accountant South Africa, you can rest assured that your professional designation, the Chartered Accountant designation, is indeed internationally recognized. That means that the doors to working abroad are really wide open. The South African Institute of Chartered Accountants has so-called reciprocity programs or agreements with various other countries such as the UK, Canada, the US and Australia. These govern what chartered accountants who qualified in South Africa have to do if they want to formally register in those other countries as the equivalent of a South African chartered accountant. I think the last question that we probably have time for is your B accounting program sponsored by the Tutuka Bursary Fund, and how does your university's alliance with them work? Now, perhaps just by way of general introduction, the Tutuka program is a major transformation project of the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. It is aimed at motivating previously disadvantaged learners to pursue a degree as Chartered Accountants South Africa. It is a bursary fund that provides comprehensive academic and non-academic support to students who are awarded this bursary. The support interventions occur at various times and at various levels throughout the undergraduate B accounting and the related postgraduate programs, which is the postgraduate diploma in accounting and also the B accounting honors program. The Stellenbosch Tutuka program in the School of Accountancy takes in between 20 and 30 new first-year B accounting students every year and then supports them throughout their time at Stellenbosch University and even beyond. Ilse, it seems that we've unfortunately run out of time here and we cannot get to all of your great questions during this session. We will, however, respond to all your inquiries that were sent through via email. Also, if at this point or at any time in the future you have any further questions, you are more than welcome to send them to emsinfo@sun.ac.za. That is emsinfo@sun.ac.za, where Ilse or one of our other colleagues in the Dean's office will be more than happy to provide you with clear answers to those questions. It's been absolutely great to be able to spend some FaceTime with you tonight. Have a great evening further, and good night.